Good afternoon, everyone. We are back here with Skip Ziegler and doing our weekly update, which this year is largely focused on AI and its implications and the lessons we're learning along the way. This world is changing so fast and it has such a high impact on small businesses, MSPs, IT consultants that we decided to do a podcast to kind of help keep everybody up to date on it. And we're learning things on the fly as well. And so what we want to do is give you what we've learned. Like, how are things going? What are we doing? How do we make this better? And to this week, I've really been focused on this concept of virtual employees.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a shout out to Richard Bauer for, making me think a little bit more. He's like, I have these reports and now what do I do with them?
There you go.
And I was like, he wanted a button. And I was like,
Mhm.
that's more complicated, like what does the button do? Does the button
Mhm.
send the report to somebody? Does it, well, it should create action items. And so I was like, okay, what kind of action items? Should they be opportunities? Should they be projects? There's a lot of questions here on what to do. And I'm sitting in the back of my mind going, okay, this is hard. And I'm hammering on the question. And then it occurs to me, wait a minute, I just created a feature called Virtual Employees that does exactly this. And the concept comes out of the idea of custom GPTs. Then it gives me another question of, can you replace employees with virtual employees?
No,
What do you think, Skip?
definitely not.
You see what we've built.
No. So I've been dabbling with the virtual assistant deals for a while now. Claude Desktop was kind of the first, really solid one to come out. But then there's a lot of ways you can mod it, and poked around at some of those. And then it just kind of, I don't know, things just kind of opened up. There's a bunch of them out now, and been looking a little bit more at OpenClaw or MoltClaw or ClaudeBot, whichever version of name that you kind of got into it in the last 6 weeks. And these are really powerful tools, and they can do some really cool things. It's allowed me to do things that I technically would not be able to do otherwise. So I really, really like that. But at the same time, it still takes someone to run it. So to your question, are we going to get rid of employees with virtual employees? No. But we can enhance what our employees do, not only in scope, but in quantity by leveraging virtual employees. So I think that's a really upside to those.
And one of the biggest struggles I have, and I'm going to show you how virtual employees work over here in a minute. One of the big struggles I have is we'll build the Swiss Army knife tool, kind of like ChatGPT, custom GPTs. I'm not inventing a AI from scratch here. I'm building on. I'm using AI as an abstraction layer, or we're using AI as an abstraction layer. And I build in virtual employees. This concept of ChatGPT and custom GPTs is great. But what if we had virtual employees that you could give a prompt to and say, behave like this. Pretend you are a sales manager looking for leads in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find me doctor's offices that match this criteria and add them to my lead funnel. When you find, make sure we don't have duplicates. Now, does that replace an employee? No. Does it make your salesperson's life easier? Oh, yeah. Now, instead of them going through a phone book, I'm old here. Phone book. Wow. Where did that come from, Skip?
I haven't seen one of those.
Browsing the internet and the Googles looking for people. So for you young whippersnappers out there used to be a thing called the Yellow Pages, and that's how you found businesses. That's who you knew who to call. And that was a great place to find leads. Now you go to Google and say, tell me things, or go to ChatGPT or Perplexity and say, give me the customers in this area, and you can start building a table of them. Or heck, Claude will probably do it even the best. But now you can have a virtual employee go out there and you can tell them to digest this and put these on your lead funnel. So these people that are like, oh, I'll find you 10 leads a day. essentially what they're doing. But
Yeah.
now you can audit it in our tool for free.
Yep.
Well, not free. You're still paying for our tool, but the problem is though we build something like the virtual employee, and now it's like, and now what? And then Richard brings up an idea of like, well, what do I do with this report? And I said, put your hands together. And now we've got like we've got our virtual employee like, hey, can you take a report that I just generated and build me a to-do list off of it? And now we're starting to think like, now we're putting two processes together. It's like building two scripts and like, oh my gosh, if I could stitch these two scripts together, I could set this and run it and go eat a sandwich and come back versus click, drag, and do all these manual things. And so let me show you guys what we have over here. Let's see if I can figure out how to share my screen in StreamYard.
And so this is the real implementation of AI that it obviously it's just, beginning. We've done a whole lot more with them, but this is the beginning conversations you need to be having with your clients as well. Because a lot of them are, thinking, oh, I need to be using AI, or should I, and they're still kind of just thinking about this perspective of using ChatGPT to answer questions.
Yeah.
And with this, it's not only doing something, but it's relaying, it's becoming a part of a process. All right. And that's where we really want to, focus our energies on, where we can see where AI becomes a part of the process, because then it gets to enhance things. That's where it really makes things better. That's where we're going to see the value and the actual return on investments that we put into this. But you've got to start thinking about, what are the end goals? And then you can start plugging things in. So start with this one here.
And that's the important thing to really think through is, we have so much we can do with AI and we're just at the beginning. And so when we started building Humanize AI, the concept was, oh, let's just build Humanize IT as an AI tool. And the bones we had for Humanize IT became so much more. And we started like thinking, oh my gosh, I got to focus. I got to find landing pages. And I've talked to partners and people in the industry and like, okay, you've got this thing. Now what? And so we're starting to stitch together the now what. So if you're a creative type, if you're somebody who can build and are like, yeah, if we hand you a script library, if we hand you an editor, you're going to build something cool. This is the tool for you. But for those of you who are just like, I just need to get my job done. I want to use a virtual employee. I don't want to deal with all the back end work. Then you come in here and like, for instance, I've got all this data over here. Now what? Okay, what do I do with this? And this is my, you can, if you're a superhero person, you'll start seeing things here. But this is our mock data. What can I do with this? How do I action this? How does this make my business better? How does this make me money? And so there's a variety of things. So now we got an AI report generator. You can come over here and you can say, run me a revenue opportunity, right? Look in here and see where I could be making more money. Let's go ahead and just run that. And I can add it into my marketplace and I can run this report. But again, as Richard says, now what? And I can build over here this report template and it's going to run for a while and it'll load up over here. And I'll get something cute like a QBR. But what do I do with that? Like, it's cute. I built something. Yay. It's based upon my real data. Okay, that's where a virtual employee comes in. So here we have Michael Scott. He's the world's best sales guy. I never really watched The Office, but I guess he's really good at closing deals. And so we built like, what do you do here with this? I want to generate leads. Okay. So I'm going to create a duty for this virtual employee, perform a lead generation sweep. You'd use this to get clients and look around and find things. Every Monday at 8 a.m., I want you to run this. And if you want to run a report and send to somebody, add somebody in here. And they'll get that report of all the things that you need to do. And so we can tell it all these stories and it'll automatically do these things, but you still need a human to go in and action off of it. And maybe eventually be like, okay, I got these opportunities. Now I need to create drip campaigns. Well, you
Mhm.
come over to your lead funnel. I see a lead got added into your funnel because Michael Scott found it. Well, now you can say, "Hey, Michael Scott, come in and create a drip campaign for all my new leads that makes them feel special, gives them a tip on how to use AI better, and gives them a call to action to sign up for a free consultation from my website." Now, you could go through all the 100 leads here, or you can say, "Hey, Michael Scott, can you go through and add a drip campaign that's going to build all this stuff for me?" The
Mhm.
same job gets done under your guidance. It's you now have employees. Let's say you are the low man on the totem pole, and boss comes in and says, "Hey, I need you to start hunting for leads. We need more people." Like, "I'm not a salesperson." Like, well, find a way, because we're a small company and everybody's in sales in small companies.
Yep.
And you say, "Okay, cool." So you do that. You come in and you talk to Michael Scott and you give him duties like, "Hey, I'm not a salesperson, but if you can do all this stuff for me, I don't know how to do it. AI is pretty good at copying what other people do.
Hmm.
And create a job here, and he's going to run it." And then you come in here on the Monday, you run it now, or you come in on Monday and say, "Oh my gosh, my lead funnel is full. What do I do with all these people? Half these people, I haven't even heard of. Hey, Michael Scott, can you create a drip campaign?" Or you can just create a drip campaign and tie it to all your new leads. Reach out to these people and talk to them and get them to sign up. All of a sudden, things start appearing on your calendar. So you've created this funnel where
Hmm.
AI is taking care of the activities where you just kind of like click, 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 and he's adding this funnel where people now are signing up on your calendar, and now you have something to do. So did AI replace you, or did it enable you to be a better salesperson? Which one did it do?
Yeah. I think it can be the enabler. And that's, again, I don't think anybody is comfortable just turning a AI loose and letting it do whatever. And I don't think we're anywhere near close to that point with the technology yet. But having a person supervise an AI, I think there is a tremendous value in that. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what we've got right here with the virtual employees.
Yeah, don't get me wrong here. Like, you can run this right now and get it going, and then you can say, "Don't take an action without approval."
Hmm.
And so I have that in here where you can say, requires approval, make recommendations, and you can test these things. So where's the somewhere around here? I have a button where it says require approval. You'll see down here in actions what he did, when he did them, and whether or not you need to make recommendations and you need to approve his actions. And that's where virtual employees kind of empower you. You take your low end employee, the bottom of the totem pole guy, and you give them 10 helpers.
Hmm.
You're not replacing this employee. You're freeing up their time to do what they need to do. What would you do? And you get these emails in your account all the time. You get them on LinkedIn. What would you do with 10 leads a day on your calendar? What would you
Yeah.
do with all that? Okay, that's a better problem to have than how do I find leads?
Hmm.
So building your own AI agent that can qualify leads and bring them in is great, but it doesn't replace that human touch. You can't tell the AI to hold the meeting for you. Maybe someday you will be able to, but right now, that personal relationship, that's where things are.
Yeah. Well, and as we've been talking, the great thing about these virtual employees here is they fit inside a framework. And so, obviously, I think Humanize AI is a really cool platform, but whichever one you really get involved with, you need to make sure it fits within a platform, because everything that Adam was talking about there, you could go out and just, log in with a paid GPT account and you could do that function, right? But what about getting from that function to the next one?
Yeah.
And yes, there's a lot of things that are coming out in there, but it requires so much of your attention to manage that. And it's still a very narrow environment considering your whole team. And so you have a framework like this where you plug in these virtual employees, then you can have one real employee supervising a virtual employee that generates work for another employee. And we can just keep the chain going here. So the framework for this is what I really want to emphasize. This is really the important part. You don't want to just try to build all this on your own. I mean, some of you may want to, because, like Adam, you might find it, pretty fun, but you need to be prepared for the time and energy commitment that it's going to take. And finding a tool like this that gives you the flexibility to do what you want within a structured framework is going to really give you the quickest return on your investment in the money's not that much. It's really the quickest return on your time in getting this up and running.
Yeah, and it's all about building. It's like building scripts. You guys have been building scripts, VB scripts, batch files, PowerShell. Pick your poison. Perl, Python. A lot of you love Python. The idea here is that you're building scripts that solve problems so that you don't have to do these one-off activities. And Brandon Sanderson has a great video out there where he's a famous author, and he talks about like how AI is an art because the process is the art. And I think that's true, but there is something in IT where we call it abstraction layers. The abstraction layers allow you to do the art. So a lot of you can think like, oh, well, you'll never learn Perl. You'll never truly learn coding if you have an AI code for you. And that is correct. You need to understand what an array is. You need to understand how object relationships work. But also, I would, as a computer science guy who understands assembly, I can do assembly, people. Like, it's just not my bag. I think I would poke my eyes out if I did that for a living. But it's really cool to understand how that works. Does the abstraction, the conceptual layer help me program and help me think about problem solving better? Yes. However, if I can free up my brain to not think about registers and inputs and outputs and where objects are in which subroutine, I can now operate better. We learned this because we now have object-oriented programming like C++ or C#, and you don't have to think about that lower level. And is your code as efficient as assembler? No. But what I can build with C++ is so much faster and bigger than if I would have done it with assembly, that the person doing assembly is going to be way back in the background while I'm already ahead building QuickBooks and I'm building like these massive applications, and they're still trying to figure out how to make a simple calculator efficient.
Yeah.
And so I move into C++. I think, okay, well, that's what you need to focus on. Well, what if I didn't have to memorize all the include libraries? What if I didn't have to think through object class formats? Well, that's where AI comes in. AI is going to build all that code for you, but you still need to understand the concept of object-based programming so that when you're building AI and building virtual employees and you're building things like that, you're thinking of them as objects that you can reference. And you think, if I give this employee a report, I'm going to get out what? And that is something directly from object-oriented programming.
Yeah.
So when you think in terms of that modular and that abstraction layer, I now know I've got Michael Scott. He's been defined. He's ready to go. If I hand him a report, he's going to give me back a to-do list. Or what's my other one? My other virtual employee is Jane Hathaway. Skip picked that name. And so the idea is like I could create a job duty here that says, here's an onboarding checklist. I could hand her a checklist or a report that says, when you receive a report, please output a series of tasks in my to-do list or in my project that says, please review this report. Here are the things that need to be done. And you have a nice little checklist. I can create that, but now I don't have to think about it anymore. I know I hand Jane reports when I want a to-do list. That's how this works. That's how like this abstraction layer works. So it's part of my creative process. Am I getting the full scope as if I had developed this from scratch in C# or something myself? No. But I have an abstraction layer, and we've been building abstraction layers for the past 30 years, from assembly to object-oriented programming to .NET frameworks to various frameworks, Ruby on Rails. You've got React and all these things where you now don't have to build things from scratch. You can work faster because somebody else built a library for you to build yours on. And that's okay as part of the creative process. So I disagree with Sanderson in one way of like, the AI can't be art because it removes from the process, but I also say AI can be part of the art of programming and of being an employee when it allows your employees to do bigger things, because it allows them to abstract and take away from the things that would normally be taking their day with busy work. You don't have to file papers anymore. You don't have to do these little things that took like 4 or 5 hours a day. You can now do something more valuable, like meet with clients, look for revenue, solve problems, and that is okay. And that's part of the art. It's a bigger thing now. So yeah, as Skip was saying, when you're defining virtual employees, when you're defining reports that you're running, think of them as objects. Think of things that you can put together and build a castle out of, build a large program out of, and that's how you win with AI. It doesn't replace employees. It enhances their art. It enhances what they can do.
That's it. Scalability is key on this. You can do great things with AI, but if you've done much experimenting with it, you can also, know that you spend a great deal of time doing something great. All right. And if you really want to make those investments pay out, it needs to be scalable. And a virtual employee within a framework is going to help you do exactly that.
Yeah. And I want people just to think about things like this. Like, there is a war going on out there. If you look at any forum, people talking about AI, if you talk to the art people, they talk about how art's ruining the world and it's all doom and gloom. And if you talk to computer science people, they're like, oh, well, it's just a fad. And then you talk to business people, they're like, this is great. And I think if you guys can wrap your head around the concept of abstraction layers, this is something computer science people know really well. This concept of building on top of the shoulders of giants, and come to peace with that, you'll find that virtual employees, AI chat assistants, custom GPTs, all these things allow you to make a better art. And that is okay. And that is great. This is the shift in culture. It's a mindset shift. And so use the abstraction layers to build a better business. All right, Skip, I'm glad we were able to showcase a little bit of what Humanize AI has to offer. I think we're going to be doing this more as we talk about AI concepts and show people, like, what does it mean to build something in AI? What does it mean to enhance your business with AI? And I plan on using Humanize IT or Humanize AI to showcase a lot of this.
There you go. Sounds good.
All right, thanks for coming on, Skip, and we'll see you all next week.
See you.